Hello everyone, and welcome once again to another video for the channel. On this occasion I bring you the full review of companions, an incredible creature mod, and pets that will fill your life, your Minecraft world. But before starting, two quick things. The first is that you please subscribe and leave your like, because if you do it next time, Wither Skeleton then, mates will be leaving his head. And if you don't believe me, what are you waiting to check it? Subscribe now. And the second is a quick recommendation, which will surely help you after watching this video. And if at some point you had wanted to play and share your favorite mods with your friends, you're in luck. Well, let me introduce you to Olimpo Hosting, our powerful sponsor today. Have you ever wanted to play with your friends on a Minecraft server, but you didn't know which one? Well, look, Olimpo Hosting is one of your best options, since it will not only have excellent quality, price, but will also have excellent customer service, because this will have its own Discord, where you can ask things to the developers themselves. And if that were not enough, Olimpo Hosting also counts with its own installation service, mods y plugins, in case you don't know how to do it, but oh well. If it doesn't seem enough to you, it seems a little expensive. Well, look, using the code PORK20 you will be paying 20% less discount, so that you can play with your friends in a way much more comfortable and without losing all your money. And now, let's go for the video. Welcome to Companions, a world full of a lot of new magical creatures, each with its own details and uses. Special, and of course with excellent quality in each of its designs. In addition, of course, to new tools and artifacts that will improve your gaming experience. First of all, there is something important things you should know about the new creatures. Some will be generated naturally, while others will require an invocation ritual. But first it will be necessary to mention the tools key that this mod will have, being the Great Chalice and the Furnace of Souls. As a curious fact, this will have a compatibility Con El Mod Night Quest, replacing your cauldron, and the essences, and speaking of, these can be obtained when finishing off enemies. And of course placing the following objects on a crafting table. These essences, we will be able to place them inside the Great Chalice until it is filled, to then drink it with the copper cup. Said cup will be necessary for the creation of new mod tools. Now well, this won't be all that will be offered to us. For the following, we will need the Soul Furnace. If we place a full chalice on top of said oven, will recharge with energy, allowing us to create some ingredients for the creation of new tools and recipes, and even creatures. So good, since we have everything, the basic understanding. Now, let's get straight to it with the whole creature thing. First, let's start with the most complicated of all, in my opinion, which will be the Golem Illagers, a hostile creature that will appear naturally in raids, and will have the ability to launch electric attacks. If we manage to defeat him, there will be a small chance that he will leave us his remains. As an extra fact, there will be a new structure in our world, where we will have a chance of finding it, being practically a kind of laboratory inhabited by Illagers. Returning to the subject of remains, in order to repair it, we will ask you a series of objects, like pieces of wood and iron, and a wrench, a tool that will be very useful FOR later. Once we manage to fix it, it will be like a normal pet, being able to sit, wander, or follow us, in addition to defending us with its electrical attacks. Although curiously, that will be the least of it. For his next role, we will need a Tesla coil, voltaic pillars, the voltaic relay, the plasma lamp, and teleportation. And we give it to you. Right-click on the dynamo while it is located, sitting with the wrench. We will be able to link it with any of the tools previous in this case. The most basic and primordial will be the Tesla coil. That will allow us to connect other objects in a certain way, extending the reach from the energy of the dynamo. although not too much. For this, we will need the voltaic relay, which will extend the range of energy, as if it were an extra battery. Then we will have the plasma lamp, which will only be a decorative addition. Emitting light is supplied with energy. On the other hand, we will have the volcanic pillar. These should be placed one on top of the other. And if we connect them together, yes, we will be able to create electrical barriers that will harm the creatures that pass through this. And finally, we will have teleportation. This, as its name says, will allow us to teleport to another platform that is connected to the same energy source, which takes much more sense of why we would want extend the electric current over a greater distance, being a form of transportation, quite efficient to move around our world, or even inside our own home. For the next creature, we will need a great chalice and the furnace of souls. First, we must place a chalice full of essence about the furnace of souls as a next step. Let's create a homunculus to later surround it with bread. And yes, I know what you're thinking, sick. But no, it's not for that.
Deja el maniquí ahí, sucia.
Well, what we should do is to put it in the furnace of souls, making this cook until it becomes a croissant. If we leave this for a few minutes, over time it will become a baby croissant dragon. To be able to tame it, you will have to feed him with milk. When doing so, we can ask him how he feels, wander or follow us. It can also be an excellent companion on the battlefield spinning. Milk that will not harm but will slow down. Something that undoubtedly sets it apart much of other creatures, like wolves. In addition, by not harming their enemies, this will not make it a target for any other creature. And we will not be able to hit him either on purpose or by accident. But that doesn't mean it can't take damage, since an explosion could hurt him easily. So just in case, it will be better have it protected. In this case, we will have 3 different types of armor, each one giving it an ability special to your breath. So if we stop in some of the pools of his breath, we will have these new beneficial effects, plus an extra one if we feed on its wings with shift and right click. But don't worry, we'll grow back in a matter of seconds. Vanilla armor will give us resistance. If we feed on their wings, they will give us 20 seconds more of set effect. The chocolate armor will give us speed, while its wings will give us mining haste. And finally, the cherry armor, which will give us the regeneration effect. And if we feed on their wings, will give us regeneration too. And if you ask yourself, no, we will not be able to change or remove his armor. So you'll have to collect to all the dragons to have all its effects. The next creature will be one of the simplest. For its preparation, we will need a soul furnace loaded with essences. And in this case, we will put inside a normal candle. As time goes by, this will come to life, wandering aimlessly around the surroundings. And about this creature, it would be all. Or at least that's what it seems. Since to get it out, the maximum benefit will require support of another creature that we will see later. Continuing, we will have the shadow rituals, where we can summon different demonic entities. For this, we will need the Shade Bell, crystallized blood, the Jaw Altar, and the Altar of Sword. Depending on the altar, we will be able to summon a creature demonic that will help us in some way. In combat, first we will have the Jaw Altar. To be able to use it, first we will refill it with crystallized blood. Then we will link it to the Bell of Shade. We will give it right click on the place where we want it to appear. The creature in the case of the Shadow Jaws, it will be a huge monster with great speed of movement. Its main function is to move us quickly by sea or land, although it will also have the ability to hit bites to defend themselves. While in the case of Altar of Sword, we will invoke the Sword of Shadow, a spirit that will be much more focused on combat, being one of the best companions in a fight you may have. These invocations will have a time limit of a few minutes, and then they will disappear. We will be able to increase your time by giving crystallized blood to the altars. And even if we fill them to the maximum, said invocations will be much more powerful. The next creature will be Cornelius, a frog fanatic about gambling and gambling, but with the right contacts to become one of the most respected creatures and dangerous of the entire mod. To be able to tame it, we will have to bring him a bee. In this way, opening the way to all its new utilities. First of all, we will need the new mod coins, which can be found in structure chests. And depending on the dimension where we find the coins, these will be different. Something quite key to the following mechanics. If we place a copper coin on Cornelius, you can summon a rocket frog or a bubble frog. You are making artillery type frogs. If we give him a nether coin, the nether frog will appear, what a surprise, much bigger and stronger, focused on close combat. And finally, the end coin, summoning the ender frog's witch, will have the ability to fly and launch projectiles with a levitation effect. And if that were not enough, Cornelius will also be a creature that enjoys simple pleasures, such as playing blackjack by betting. Coins to double them in case you win. In itself, the rules will be quite simple. The player who is found closer to reaching 21 points will be the winner. With the green button, you will ask that they give you more cards, while with red, it will be to stop you. And I won't lie to you, the truth is that it is a quite addictive game. As extra information, we will also have the slot machine, being at least for the moment a decorative block. The next creature we'll talk about, it will be the devil, which may seem like a simple, just another enemy. Well, if we finish him off, we'll be leaving us his meat that we can use as food, or for the creation of the crystallized axe. That would be the case of choosing the genocidal road. But if instead of killing him, we give him some kind of currency, this could be domesticated, or in the worst case, become much more aggressive. If we manage to tame it, it will count with the basic functions: how to sit, wander, or follow us. What will be interesting is its adaptation mechanics. Well, depending on the dimension in which your appearance and ability are found, will be different. In its nether form, it will attack, throwing fireballs that will then end. Exploding in the form of the overworld, will have the ability to fly and throw ice tornadoes that will push to the enemies. And in its end form, will be able to create attacks with rock spikes that will emerge from the ground. But curiously, things don't end here, because in case of giving him coins belonging to the dimension of its appearance, this can leave us with different spells. The variant of end will leave us the books of Stone Spike and Ring. Dressing, the one from Nether will give us the books Firebrand and Embers, while that of the Overworld will give us the Ice Crystal books and Ice Tornado. And as a last curious fact, in the case of giving him the Netherite chains, will remain in that same form forever. This is in case you like some form. Specifically, as the next creature we will have, the Golden Allays. These can be generated naturally in swamps, and by themselves they will not do absolutely nothing, but they can be domesticated when giving them shelter, the magician's hat and staff. By doing so, he will become the sole mage, being able to ask him to sit, wander, or not continue. In addition, we can equip it with 3 magic books, different so that he can defend himself, in addition to a rather interesting mechanic. And if this is found, accompanied by the living candles, the magician, he will use them as if they were a totem of immortality, disappearing instead of this. And since we are in a swamp, now we will have a probability of finding the Baba Yaga house, an inhabited witch's hut, 4 Illagers and witches, but above all, by the puppeteer's glove. In its first form, we will have to beat him in a stone contest, paper or scissors, or obviously for this game, we will need these 3 objects. If this fails, it will attack us. But if we manage to defeat him, he will be tamed with the same actions: to sit, wander, or follow us. in addition to defending us in battles. However, the thing does not end here. Well, in the case of giving it an empty puppet, now you will be able to control it to defend themselves. But of course it will have to be equipped first. For this we will have different types of arms. In this case we will have for variants, the blade arm that will only deal damage, the whip arm that can poison at the time of attacking, the cannon arm that will fire projectiles without having to get too close, and finally the similar mutant arm to the blade arm. It will be to create melee damage. But if this one receives too much damage, it may teleport to attack unexpectedly. For the next creature, we must travel to the desert biome, where the dangerous antlion will live. A kind of insect that will change constantly, and it's for different states. One for each day. It can be tamed if we approach stealthily behind his back, and we feed it with crystallized blood. In its first form, this will allow us to shear it with scissors. Useful material for creation of the crystallized blood sword. In addition, it will have the ability to take cover underground and launch hot sand attacks at enemies. In its second phase, it will enter in its pupal state, practically like a cocoon. Although it won't do too much harm, we'll have a lot of life. In its third phase, it will acquire the ability to fly, where we can even mount it to glide. But only that, since we will be too heavy, so that he can take us flying. And finally, its fourth phase, this being physically the strongest of all. Throw in sand projectiles to be able to defend themselves. Curiously, we are interested in advancing the development of this creature without having to wait every day. There will be a magic object to be able to advance their forms. That with just a right click, we will be able to move forward easily for each of its forms. The next creature awaits us in Teddy Tower. A curious construction, which will normally appear in dark forest biomes, invaded by illagers and witches. But what will interest us? It will undoubtedly be Teddy Bear, and that can be domesticated easily with a needle. This will have the ability to sit, follow us, or wander around, in addition to helping us on the battlefield, using the needle we gave him to tame him, impregnating enemies with the new voodoo effect. Where every so often, magic needles will appear that will deal extra damage. But like almost all creatures, this will not be its final form. For this we must first create the netherite tagga, or later, use it for creation from the eternal firelighter, a tool that will allow us to light fire that will never go out. Although if we use it on the bear, Teddy will transform into his mutated version, becoming much more powerful and acquiring the ability to fly, even giving us regeneration when in his presence. While in the event that this receives too much damage, will teleport to then attack behind their enemies. If we feed him a bucket of lava, he will let us the mutated flesh, ingredient for creation of different tools, and even as a food source that will allow us to teleport to the opposite position of the creature we find ourselves seeing. And finally, we will have to travel to the jungle biome, where we will find the sacred pontiff, a kind of priest monkey that will remain motionless until we go to bother him. By doing this, he will get angry and will begin to attack us in different ways, either with his staff or even with powerful magical attacks. And while it won't be too much quick attacks, they will really be devastating. If we manage to defeat it, we'll sink underground, but not exactly to disappear. But it will be to return a lot more powerful than before, and even featuring new magic attacks, being a much more battle, more complicated than the previous one. But in case we succeed, defeat him, this will reward us with the ancient gold ingot and the RAGS ingredients, special for creation of a new armor and the repair totem. With this new totem, we will have different uses. Among them, the summoning of 2 more creatures first will be the Mank. This may be invoked when giving an ancient gold ingot to the totem. It will be a very powerful creature with the ability to launch energy attacks from his chest, while on the other hand we will have the Cape, a creature that will support us on the battlefield with its magic, either by launching guided explosive projectiles or even become imperceptible against enemies that are near us, being in effect much more powerful than invisibility. And well, as for the creatures, this would be absolutely everything. However, we would still be missing. Review the topic of new objects and their skills, starting of course with the Repair Totem. As you will remember, this will be used to summon the Mank and the Kappa, but we also give him the Hourglass. Near some domesticated creature, you can respawn near the totem if you die. And in case they run out, the resurrection charges, you will have the following notice. The magic books, they will be combat tools with different spells, most of which can be obtained with the different forms of the nether demons. Although we will also have 3 others whose method of obtaining will be different. The Book of Magic Lightning and Black Hole will appear in structured chests, while the Naginata book, we can create it with antique gold ingots. The recharge time of each book will be relatively slow, but we can speed up the process of wearing the Magician's Set Witch, as well as being an accessory for the Golden Allays. We can use it to have a better affinity with magical books and even to have a magic damage reduction of up to 30%. And speaking of armor, we will also have the set of crystallized blood, being practically the same as netherite armor, although with the ability to increase your resistance 10% when you get down to half your life for each piece of armor. Continuing with the armament of blood, we will have the crystallized blood sword, a vast weapon with 8 damage and the ability to throw sharp cuts that even will pierce through more than one enemy. The Scythe of Crystallized Blood, it will be a medium speed weapon and 6 damage with the steel ability, 15% of your enemy's life for each hit. And finally, the Crystallized Blood Axe, a slow weapon with 10 damage and the ability to create vortices around you that will damage nearby creatures. And finally, we will have the set of Sacred Rats, which will have very similar statistics to a netherite armor, but its main advantage will be to give us a 7% reduction and another 10% chance to summon a ring of fire when attacked for each piece of armor worn. As you can see this, it is possibly a question of from one of the best creature mods that have come out this year, because each one has their own utilities and designs that make them totally unique. And as you have surely noticed, some will be references to other well-known characters, such as henchmen from the Clash Royale cards. The Shadow Foz is taking inspiration in Okarin's design of Dan Da Dan. The Croissant Dragon is here, being a reference to how to train your dragon. And like these, there will surely be many more. By the way, I would also thank the creator himself from the mod for giving me most of it. Of this information, I'll be leaving you the link to their Discord in the description, and so you can find out about new developments that come out. Coming soon, and said, all this now, let's go for the greetings. And well guys, I hope you liked it, that they had fun. That's the most important thing for me. If you liked the video, I will ask you to please leave you like and comment on what you thought of this video. What other types of videos would you like to see on the channel? And also subscribe, that is very important. Remember that the Minecraft camel, it's not really a camel, and we'll see each other in the next video. Bye.